You didn't find this message. This message found you by divine design. God has been guiding you, even in silence, even in the shadows. For so long, you've felt out of place, unseen, overlooked, maybe even forgotten. But what felt like rejection was really redirection. What looked like isolation was divine preservation. God was hiding you, not because you lacked value, but because your value was too great to be exposed too soon. You've always known there was something different about you, an inner stirring, a weight to your spirit, a depth others couldn't understand. That wasn't your imagination. It was your anointing. You weren't made to blend in. You were chosen to stand out. And now, the season of hiding is coming to an end. God is unveiling what He's been shaping all along. The same ones who ignored you, doubted you, or dismissed you are beginning to sense what heaven has already confirmed. There is power on your life. There is purpose in your steps. There is glory on your name. Not because of you, but because of the one who called you. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to strive. The oil on your life speaks for itself. You've walked through fire, but you didn't burn. You've endured silence, but you never stopped praying. And now you're stepping into a season where the divine evidence of God's hand on your life will be undeniable. This is more than a breakthrough. It's a revealing, a rising, a reclaiming of everything heaven assigned to you. Walk boldly, speak with authority, move with peace. You're not just stepping into your moment, you're stepping into your mission. The world is about to witness what God already affirmed. You were never overlooked, only hidden for the right time, and that time is now. Chapter 1. They mistook your silence for weakness because you didn't fight for attention, clap back at insults, or rush to prove your worth. They assumed you had none. But your silence wasn't surrender, it was strength under control. You weren't inactive, you were being instructed. You weren't avoiding the battle, you were learning how to win it God's way. While they talked, you prayed. While they showed off, you grew roots. And while they overlooked you, heaven was watching closely, shaping your character in the hidden place. You weren't weak, you were wise. You knew not every reaction was worth your energy, and not every stage was your assignment. God was keeping you covered, protected, and preserved for a time they wouldn't see coming. Now, the shift is undeniable. The same stillness they mocked is now a quiet strength they can't explain. Your peace confuses them. Your glow exposes them. Your rise humbles them. And it's not pride that's elevating you, it's purpose. You didn't need to force your way into rooms. God reserved a place for you. You were never behind, you were being prepared. And now, the one they called too quiet is walking in power. The one they thought was weak is moving in divine authority. This is your time, not to get even, but to walk boldly in what you were always meant for. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was worship. And now, your rise will be your response. Chapter 2. A mirror and a beacon. Your growth has become a mirror, unforgiving and unfiltered, to those who chose stagnation over transformation. While you labored quietly in the shadows, healing wounds no one acknowledged and pursuing a higher calling with steadfast faith, others remained nestled in their comfort zones. They clung to familiarity, sidestepping the discomfort of growth and masking fear with pride. In your absence, they constructed narratives that placed you beneath them, less worthy, less capable, less enlightened. But now, your elevation has shattered that illusion. The person you are becoming stands as living proof that brokenness is not a final sentence, but a starting point. You were never meant to remain small. though others hoped you would. Your pain was supposed to keep you tethered to their expectations. Your silence was supposed to validate their assumptions. But you chose differently. You chose healing over hiding. You chose purpose over performance. You chose divine alignment over human approval. And now, your transformation speaks volumes. It speaks not only of personal victory, but of spiritual awakening. You didn't simply adopt better habits. You underwent a soul-deep metamorphosis. Your spirit now vibrates at a frequency that unsettles those still attached to their old selves. They don't understand your peace, your clarity, your joy, because they've yet to release the burdens you've already laid at God's feet. Your presence convicts them, not through condemnation, but through contrast. In seeing your rise, they are forced to acknowledge the spaces in themselves they've neglected. They once felt taller beside your brokenness. They found comfort in your struggles because it allowed them to overlook their own. But now, your healing has shifted the balance. No longer a symbol of insufficiency, you are a reflection of divine possibility. You are a walking testament to what can happen when one stops running from pain and starts surrendering to purpose. You don't have to speak loudly to disrupt their comfort. Your life does it for you. Your elevation calls others higher, not through pressure, but through presence. It is a silent, yet resounding invitation for others to explore the fullness of their potential in God. Your journey challenges the narrative that change is too hard, that healing is too painful, that destiny is for others. Every step you take forward whispers, you can rise too. This is no longer just your story. It is a divine narrative being written through you. And as you continue to walk in truth, with humility and grace, know this: you are not just healing for yourself. You are healing for generations. You are not just rising for applause. You are rising for alignment. You are not just transforming for approval. You are transforming for purpose. And that purpose, anchored in God, fueled by faith, and refined through fire, is unshakable. Let your light shine unapologetically. For some, it will feel like a mirror. For others, it will become a map. Either way, your growth is necessary, and your journey is sacred. Chapter 3. Chosen One, you've never been unprotected, not for a single moment. Even in seasons of silence, heartbreak, or betrayal, heaven stood guard over your life. What looked like survival was actually divine shielding. While others relied on charm, connections, or control, you were being covered by grace. That's why you've endured what would have crushed others. That's why every trap set against you fell flat. You're not just lucky, you're chosen. God's hand is on your life, and no weapon formed against you can prosper. They whispered, plotted, and waited for your fall, but every attempt to harm you only pushed you closer to purpose. Why? Because when God covers you, you're untouchable in the spirit. Your peace, your strength, your discernment, it all flows from the presence of the one who goes before you. You walk with a force they can't see but deeply feel. That's why doors open for you without striving. That's why you bounce back stronger every time. You carry a light that exposes the darkness, and it unsettles those who hoped you'd stay small. But it's too late. God's favor is visible now, and no one can undo what heaven has ordained. So walk boldly, speak freely, love deeply, move without fear. Not because the road will always be easy, but because you know who walks with you. Your protection is not passive, it's divine strategy. You were never just surviving. You were being positioned for victory, and that victory is already yours. Chapter 4. Chosen One. The version of you they once manipulated no longer exists. There was a time when they had easy access, when their words could shake you, their approval could control you, and their silence could wound you. They used your kindness against you, twisted your loyalty into weakness, and fed on your confusion. But that time is over. God has done a holy reset in your life. You've been healed, strengthened, and awakened. Now you walk in discernment. You see clearly. You feel spiritually before anything is even spoken. What once deceived you now alerts you. The Holy Spirit has sharpened your senses, and now you know. Peace is your confirmation, and anything that disturbs it doesn't belong near your purpose. Their tactics no longer work. Guilt, manipulation, emotional games, they hit a wall now. Because you've built boundaries, you've guarded your peace. You've learned to protect what God planted in you. And that shift terrifies them. Not because you've changed, but because you've awakened to who you truly are. They see it in how you move now, how you no longer explain your no, how you don't chase what God has already removed, how you respond with wisdom instead of reaction. That's power, that's growth, that's divine alignment. And for those who thrived off controlling the old you, it's threatening. But you were never meant to stay small, confused, or controlled. You were meant to rise, and this rise is spiritual. This strength is from God. You've been set free, and whom the Son sets free is free indeed. Walk boldly in that freedom. Guard your heart, speak with clarity, and never apologize for the protection God has given you. They can't manipulate what heaven has already matured. You're not just free, you're fortified, and that's why they're afraid. Keep going. Chapter 5. Chosen One. Your presence is no coincidence. It's a divine appointment. Long before you arrived, the atmosphere began to prepare for your entry. You don't have to shout, prove, or perform. The very essence of your journey carries an unshakable authority. You've been through fire, but you did not burn. You've walked through storms, but you did not drown. Instead, you were refined by the flames, strengthened by patience, and lifted by the unrelenting grace of God. Now, when you step into a room, the atmosphere shifts, not because you demand it, but because the Spirit of God moves through you. Your footsteps echo with purpose. Your silence speaks louder than noise. You have nothing to prove because your life is the proof. Proof of survival, of transformation, and of divine favor. There's a deep, quiet confidence within you, a strength born not of arrogance, but of surrender. It comes from overcoming what others didn't see, surviving what would have broken most, and standing when all seemed lost. You no longer seek approval, nor do you mold yourself to fit into spaces never designed for you. You walk in clarity, with a boldness anchored in truth and unwavering faith. Your words are no longer driven by insecurity or fear. They come from a place of spiritual authority and divine alignment. This unsettles those who once underestimated you. They don't recognize the version of you standing before them, because the one they knew no longer exists. What they now face is the power of one who has been chosen, covered, and called. You are a force, one that disrupts stagnation, awakens truth, and exposes what's been buried in silence. You break chains, shift atmospheres, and carry a presence that commands respect, not by pride, but by purpose, not through chaos, but through quiet integrity and radiant grace. Your growth shines a light that reveals what others have ignored, avoided, or feared within themselves. That's why your rise can make people uncomfortable, because your strength reminds them of what they were too afraid to become. But hear this, Never dim your light for their comfort. Don't shrink back to make others feel secure. This fire that burns in you is not man-made, it's God-ordained. You carry something eternal, something sacred. So stand tall with confidence. Walk boldly with holy purpose. Let your presence be a living testament to the strength, resilience, and divine destiny that God has written over your life. You are not just walking through this world, you are transforming it. With every step, heaven moves. With every word, strongholds tremble. You are chosen, you are unstoppable, and your presence carries the weight and wonder of heaven's glory. This is your moment. Own it, embrace it, and let the world witness the force you've become. Chapter 6. They didn't realize who they were dealing with. Back then, they thought you were easy to hurt, easy to discard, just another person they could mistreat without consequence. But what they failed to see is that you are chosen. You're covered, called, and divinely protected by the Most High. You weren't just another target. You were a vessel of purpose, carrying an assignment from heaven. They tried to break you, but all they did was awaken your strength. They tried to silence you, but your voice only grew louder in the spirit. They tried to stop your destiny, not knowing that everything they did was being used by God to position you for greater. Now, as they watch you rise, they're left in fear, not of you, but of the God who is clearly fighting for you. Their betrayal was seen, their words were heard, and every plan made in secret is being unraveled in public, not by your hand, but by God's justice. He is lifting you in the presence of those who once doubted you. He's blessing you openly where you were once broken quietly, and now they know. They crossed someone they were never meant to. You're not angry, you're anointed. You're not bitter, you're elevated. You're not seeking revenge, you're walking in reward. This isn't pride, this is divine alignment. Hold your head high. Your rise is the evidence of God's hand on your life. You are proof that no weapon formed against you could prosper. And those who tried now see clearly you were never the one to play with. You were the one sent by God. Chapter 7. No going back. You've crossed a line, and there's no returning to who you used to be. That version of you, the one who kept quiet to keep the peace, who accepted less because she doubted her worth, who bent herself to fit into places that couldn't hold her purpose, is gone. She served her time, but her season has ended. You've grown past the need for external validation, and now you walk in the assurance of who you are in God. That old chapter closed not with regret, but with resolve. You've been refined in the fire of experience, strengthened in the waiting, elevated in the silence. And with every trial you've endured, every tear you've cried, and every battle you've overcome, you've become more aligned with the version of you that God envisioned all along. You no longer apologize for your presence. You don't shrink yourself to make others feel secure. You've learned to protect your peace as fiercely as you once protected your pain. You guard your spirit because you understand its value. And most importantly, you trust God's direction more than you trust people's opinions. That shift, that sacred transition, has set you free. And yes, that freedom makes some people uncomfortable. They're not afraid of your mistakes. They're afraid of your momentum. They see that you're becoming unstoppable, that something divine is unfolding in your life, and it terrifies them. They sense the oil on your name, the purpose in your steps, the fire in your words. You've stepped out of their control, out of the narrative they tried to write for you. And now, they're left watching from a distance, realizing they no longer have access to your energy, your heart, or your future. You're not bitter. You're just better. You're no longer available to what broke you, drained you, or made you question your worth. You've been set apart, not for isolation, but for elevation. There's a call on your life that won't let you settle. God is pulling you forward, and your spirit knows it. Even when you can't explain it, you feel the shift. You can't go back to what God has delivered you from. That chapter is not just closed, it's sealed. You've outgrown the box they put you in, the cycle that tried to keep you stuck, and the silence that once stifled your voice. So now you move differently. You speak with clarity, walk with authority, and live with intention. You've learned that growth sometimes means walking alone, but never walking without purpose. You're being prepared for rooms you haven't even stepped into yet, for blessings you haven't even imagined, and what's ahead of you is far too sacred to be compromised by what's behind you. So move boldly, chosen one. You're walking in answered prayers and divine alignment. You are the evidence of God's grace and the vessel for His glory. Let them fear your future, because your destiny is too big to be confined by their expectations.